Hey, it's Larson, the guitar instructor. I was putting together this video for my student Kylan, and he had some questions about transposing licks to a new key. This is actually a pretty complex subject, and it requires you to have a really good working knowledge of a few different elements before you can confidently move the licks to a new key. So the first thing that I want to talk about is whenever you have a basic blues lick, and the lick obviously comes out of a scale pattern that you're already familiar with. So as an example, there's a blues pattern that we frequently call the blues box. And here I'm going to have my index finger at the 5th fret, which is a great place to play the A blues pattern because there's a lot of A's that are convenient to reach. So I'm going to start with this A on string 6 at the 5th fret. So I'm going to go 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. So you'll notice here I moved across on string 6 I went 5, 8. On string 5 I went 5, 7. On string 4 I went 5, 7. So this is an A. So at this point I've already completed the scale. I started on A, I ended on A, I got the first octave. Now I'm going to play the second octave. Now I went actually past, this is an A, I went past the A to C, and then I went back to A, so I ended it on A. So a very common blues lick, one of the first ones that we typically learn is out of this scale. And it's this D note bent up to E. So I'm bending this note up a whole step. Now remember, I played this out of the A minor scale, the A minor blues scale, A minor pentatonic. I went here to the middle of the scale, and I usually would play that over something You notice I'm playing an A7. That's the chord I'm doing, the rhythm part, and I'm embellishing it. So if I wanted to move this particular lick to a new key, let's say I'm going to move it to the key of D, I'm going to have to play my scale first. So I'm going to bring this finger down here to string 6, and I'm going to find D, and I'm going to play my D blues, my D minor pentatonic. It's not the blues scale, it's the minor pentatonic. So I'm going to go 10, 13, go to the next string, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, next string, 10, 13. So when I play the scale, it's like. So you notice when we were playing it out of this scale, we went to the 3rd string. I used my 3rd finger, I was in the 7th fret. That's in the key of A. So now I'm going to come down here, I'm going to play it in the key of D now. I'm going to still be on the 3rd string, but this time I'll be on the 12th fret. So I'll play a D7 chord. Now, and so finally, if I wanted to move this lick to the key of E, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play the E minor pentatonic scale. So the easiest place to play this is at the 12th fret of string 6. That's where I'm going to start. I'm in 12th position. My index finger is at the 12th fret. So I'm going to go 12, 15, next string, 12, 14. So I go now. Started on E. Here's my first E, and I continue. So here's the scale. Here's the lick. I'm going to go with my 3rd finger on string 3. So the way that I'm playing this lick, remember, this is one of the most common ways, but it's also a little bit confusing because what I'm doing is I'm starting with the scale. I'm finding a note in that scale, and then I'm using that note to execute my lick. The second way that I can move a lick is that I focus on the actual note that is the root in the lick, and then I move that to a new area. So here, I'll show you, this will be here's a real popular lick. I like this one a lot. I'm going to play the A blues scale, and I'm going to start it here. Typically, whenever I teach people how to play the A blues scale, we play it in multiple locations all over the neck. So normally what we would do is we would start down here. We would start at this A. We'd start on string 6, and we would find our A. And then we would play the scale, and the scale pattern goes 1, 4, move to the next string. 1, 2, 3, move to the next string. And that's it. That's one octave of the A blues scale. So it's A, C, D, E flat, E, G, A. Then we move to the next string, do the same thing. Starting on A, playing the same pattern. I'm going to go to the next string, start on A. I had to bump it up there on the string 2 because of the guitar tuning. I want to mention that this video, if somebody happens to watch this video that's not Kylan, that I'm actually making this specifically for him, and he already knows how to do all these exercises, has a knowledge of all these scales. We've worked on these slowly and developed this vocabulary. When I come down here, I don't have enough strings to play the entire scale. But I do have enough to play a part of it. I have enough to play 2 strings, which is super popular in blues and classic rock. So here's my lick. And what do I notice? I notice that this lick ends on A. And it's on string 2. So if I want to move it to a different key, whatever key that happens to be, I find that note on the same string. So here, A is on string 2, fret 10. If I want to move this to D, I could either come down here to string 2, fret 3. That's a D. So I could go. Or I could do it on E. E is very popular, so E is string 2, fret 5. So here's my scale, and here I'll play the lick. I can do the same thing an octave higher. So E is on string 2, fret 5. If I had 12 frets, I can go. And that lick's in the middle of the guitar solo from A Whole Lot of Love, which is in the key of E. I can do one more. I'll show you. Here's a lick. I'm going to put my 3rd finger on A. I'm going to play the beginning of a form 3 minor pentatonic scale. And here's a real popular lick. It's in the style of Albert King. So what do I notice? The A is right here underneath my 3rd finger. The note that this lick ends on is actually the 7th, very colorful note out of the chord. So if I wanted to play that same lick in the key of D, it would be pretty hard down here because I'm pretty close to the nut. So I'll come up here. This is D. I'm on string 2, fret 15. You notice that what I've done is I'm mimicking the exact interval by looking at the fingers that I use. So when I play this in A, my 3rd finger plays A on string 2, fret 10. That when I play the lick, I actually start on string 1, fret 10. So I'm going to do the first bend, and there I end. That first part of that phrase is going to end on A. Then I go. So I know that this lick is in A, and if I want to move it to a new key, I go to this. I find the new note on the same string. So if I want to move this to E, I go to string 2, and E will be right here. E is 17, so if I use the same finger pattern, that here I'm starting and ending in the same. This is the E, and there's the lick moved up. So hopefully this is helpful. I want to stress that this is a follow-up to a lesson for Kylan, and he has already done a ton of work learning fundamental music theory, understanding keys, practicing scales. So if somebody else happens to watch this, you'll know you need to do that other stuff. All right, hopefully that's helpful.